What's up, everybody? Eric from Collect and Reflect here, back on February 29th, 2024 for the big release of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I am, of course, wearing a shirt to match the occasion. I've got my materia approved by the Shinra Corporation. Shinra approved materia here to pick up the game and get our pre-order bonus Final Fantasy VII Rebirth hat. We're going to head into the store. We are here at the GameStop. As per usual, we're going to go in, check it out. Hopefully, maybe they got a poster or something extra going on. We're going to pick up the game, go back home, show you some of the other Final Fantasy stuff that we got in the collection, all the other games in the Final Fantasy VII chronology, the compilation of Final Fantasy VII. I don't have them all, but I've got a lot of them. So yeah, we're going to go back, check out the game, unbox it. Not that there's much to unbox there. Check out the hat and talk about the game a little bit. So yeah, enjoy, guys. Happy release day. Thank you. So we got here right as the store opened and secured the bag with our pre-order. We got the game and our hat in here. And yeah, there was actually quite a few people here in the store today picking up the game as well. So it was nice to see lots of people excited about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and getting their hat. Yeah, we're going to go home, check it out, open it up for you guys. See you there. All right, everybody. So we are back at home with our bag from GameStop. Don't mind the falling hangers here. You can get a better look at this shirt now that we're back here. This is a shirt I actually picked up at Goodwill not that long ago. It's pretty cool. Little Final Fantasy VII inspired materia shirt. Glad that we have that in the collection. But yeah, without further ado, let's crack right into it. Of course, we've got the new game, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. There's the front of it. There is the back of it. Go ahead and pop it open here for you all. We'll take a look at what we got in here. Now, they were boasting this as on PlayStation 5 across 2 discs. And, no kidding, we've got 2 discs here. Now, it's pretty much the same thing if you recall when Final Fantasy VII Remake came out on PlayStation 4, at least. There was a data disc and an install disc. A data disc and a play disc. So one disc you put in just to install data, and then another disc you put in to play the game every time you want to play it. And I kind of like that they do that because it's not just, you can still play that game without an internet connection, if you needed to someday down the line, unlike a lot of games that have come out recently like Call of Duty, where the disc is basically a glorified license to the digital game because most of the game has to be downloaded anyway. But yeah, so here's the disc. We got Sephiroth, the One-Winged Angel, on the data disc, and Cloud completing the back picture there, leaping at him with the Buster Sword. We've got an advertisement for some items from Square Enix, some figures there, as well as the trading cards, I guess, that they're releasing for this game. I might pick some of those up. Advertisement for Final Fantasy Ever Crisis, Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, which I think is only a mobile game, but is kind of like an updated, remastered version of the original Final Fantasy VII game. I'm actually really not too sure on the details there. But yeah, that's what we've got. We've also got some warranty information from Square. Not too much else going on in that department. If you pre-ordered at GameStop, you also got this very cool hat. Not intended for children under 14, apparently. Go ahead and pop this guy on. Swap out my hats here. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I got a big old head, so I gotta change the size setting on this. Alrighty. All right, business in the front, party in the back with our trucker hat. So yeah, that's it. That's what we got in the box. But yeah, so like they were advertising this across 2 discs, which is kind of cool because if you remember, the original game was across 3 discs on PlayStation 1. It was this whole big thing. But Final Fantasy VII Remake, also same thing, had 2 discs, 1 data disc, 1 play disc. Get that closed back up. And yeah, so now that we've got the games here, I just wanted to talk about some other games in the Final Fantasy VII world, what they call the compilation of Final Fantasy VII now. So it's pretty cool that Final Fantasy VII, there's always been spin-offs to Final Fantasy games, but 7 definitely has the most spin-offs, the most continuation. It's kind of this, Final Fantasy VII is its own series now. Like 7 is this series. And it makes sense. Like the world is so massive. It's so immersive. It's sci-fi, it's magic, it's all these really cool different elements coming together to make it definitely my favorite Final Fantasy game, and definitely one of my favorite games of all time. I was talking about my original copy of Final Fantasy VII here. That is definitely worse for wear. You can see I wrote my name on it back when I was a kid. I got this game when I was just 7 years old. I'm not sure if this is a greatest hits copy, so the game must have been out at least for a while. So I don't think I got it right in 97 when it came out. I probably got it in 98 or 99. It must have at least been 99 because, like I said, I was about 7 years old. It was the first home console, video game console that I ever had, and the first game I got with that was Final Fantasy VII, and my dad had got me that for Christmas. So it is always a nostalgic, it's kind of an emotional experience when I get back into Final Fantasy VII after being away from it for a while, and I've definitely been back into it now. I just had so many good times and good memories associated with playing that game with my dad. And we just enjoyed that game so much together, and that was just a really formative experience for me as youth. And I mean, it's the reason why I'm a collector now. It's the reason why you can see I've got a room set up like this with collectibles, and I collect video games, I collect action figures, and that all comes from the fact that I was so into Final Fantasy VII at a very young age. And yeah, I can't say enough good things about this game, and I'm so glad that the hype around Final Fantasy VII is back now. So I'm re-experiencing all these things with other friends that I have that are fans of the game, and people that weren't fans of the game when it came out are now able to jump into it with the remake and rebirth games that have come out. And you know, they'll reach out to me as a resource, as somebody who knows about the old games, and fill them in on what happened, and kind of advise them on how they should go about getting into Final Fantasy VII. So I couldn't have more fun doing that and sharing that with people, sharing that enjoyment. So I hope if you're watching this, you feel the same way. You enjoy Final Fantasy VII that much, or maybe you're a new fan and you're just jumping in. And if you are, boy, what a great time to jump in. I think you're going to have a great time with it. I hope you really enjoy the new game and get into Final Fantasy VII. So in addition to those 2 games that we saw, Remake, Rebirth, the original Final Fantasy VII across 3 discs, like I mentioned. 2 discs there, 1 disc here. We also had Crisis Core. So this is the PlayStation 5 remake called Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. This is a remake of the PlayStation Portable title of Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core. And this is a game that focuses on all the things that happened before the events of the original Final Fantasy VII, that focus on this character right here, a guy named Zack Fair. And how does he fit into things? How does he relate to Cloud? How does he relate to Sephiroth? So I'll give no spoilers, especially because it looks like there's going to be, if you've played Remake and if you played any Rebirth yet, you know that Zack is involved in some way, shape, or form. So I won't give any spoilers of what goes on in Crisis Core, but if you haven't played that already, I definitely recommend you go back, play the PSP title, or at least the remake, Crisis Core Reunion. Those are great games. And then, of course, we had Advent Children, the movie that came out. I don't have a copy of that. I was so into Final Fantasy VII, though, when there was even whispers that there was something around a sequel to Final Fantasy VII coming out. I, with a 56K dial-up modem, So like pages just like scrolling to load. I was looking up every last bit of information about Advent Children that I could. And of course, that was a movie, a sequel movie to Final Fantasy VII called Advent Children that continues the story right a few years after 7 ends. Yeah. And it came out in Japan first. It didn't come out to the US until sometime later. But I was so into it that there was actually a small anime store in the town that I grew up that would sell like fan subtitled copies of Japanese audio movies and DVDs. So I got a fan sub copy of Advent Children right when it came out in Japan. Watched that right away. Was obsessed with it. Never got around to buying an official US copy. Definitely want to do that eventually, especially because now the complete edition, which has some additional content that was originally cut from the movie, has been added to that. But after Advent Children came on PlayStation 2, Dirge of Cerberus, which focuses on Vincent Valentine, a great character from Final Fantasy VII, who I believe we're going to see in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And this is more of an action third-person shooter type style game, but I really liked it. It was a bit divisive amongst fans as far as, you know, how the gameplay and how deep the story was, but I just liked it as something that was a continuation with the story that we saw from Advent Children and was so closely tied to that movie. So I had a great time with it. At the time when I played it, I was probably, you know, a teenager at that time, or you know, maybe just about 13. I don't know the exact year, but back on PlayStation 2, I was definitely young. So I had a good time with it then. I don't know if I revisited it today if I would have as much fun, but I definitely have a lot of love for that game when it came out. And then of course, I never played too much of them, but the Kingdom Hearts series was the entry point into Final Fantasy for a lot of people that didn't play Final Fantasy, a lot of people that didn't play Square Enix RPG games, because it was this crossover between Square and Disney and all these different worlds that they incorporated. And of course, they included Final Fantasy characters in variations and kind of as a spin-off. So I'm interested to see if anything goes on in Rebirth, because now with Remake and Rebirth Final Fantasy VII, we've got branching timelines going on. So it's possible that, you know, the versions of these characters of Cloud, Sephiroth, etc. that we have seen in the Kingdom Hearts series will possibly make a return. I don't know about a return, but maybe sort of be canonized in the way that, you know, there's now a multiverse of Final Fantasy VII. So we don't just have the compilation of Final Fantasy VII. We don't just have Final Fantasy VII as its own long-running series. We've got Final Fantasy VII as a multiverse. So everybody's doing multiverse these days. Disney, Marvel, everybody. So Final Fantasy VII is in on the mix. And if that wasn't enough, as far as crossovers and cameos are concerned, of course, we had the fantastic Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS, aka Smash 4, that included Cloud as a DLC character, and then later Sora as a DLC character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate on the Nintendo Switch. So yeah, we got Cloud as his own amiibo figure, which I'm so glad to have here. He actually has his Advent Children variant of a figure that exists as well, but so awesome to have that as well. And then of course, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for the Nintendo Switch also included Cloud, then introduced Sephiroth, and then later, like I mentioned, introduced Sora. So that's not even everything. Those are all the Final Fantasy like tie-in titles that I own. I probably own some more digitally. But there's more than that. There's mobile games, there's spin-off games, there's variations and sequels that I don't even have. So the world of Final Fantasy VII continues to expand, and they're going back to their roots, but also expanding on those roots with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Remake. It is a fantastic time to be an RPG fan. It's a fantastic time to be a Final Fantasy fan. And it is the best time to be a fan of Final Fantasy VII. So jump in now if you're just joining the party. Ride the nostalgia wave if you've been on it since the beginning with Final Fantasy VII on PlayStation 1. I'm right there with you. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you are playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I hope you're looking forward to it. I thank you for watching the video. Collect and reflect. We'll see you in the next one.